can you share, Whitney, the number of people who have written you messages because of their experience with Bumble, who have gained confidence, who have gotten in touch with their self-worth, who have left abusive relationships
Yeah.
because of the offering, because of, you talk about Walt Disney imagining this whole thing, and it's like, and it all started with a mouse. It's like, this all started with you and your experiences and everything you've gone through. You have a download at 17 saying this is your purpose, when you're literally at 17 on a plane, one of the lowest moments in your life, trying to come out of an abusive relationship. And now we're sitting here and millions of people have been impacted by the offering of Bumble, about what you've imagined and what you and your team help create. How does it feel in your soul to know how many people continue to share stories with you on how what you've created has changed their life and how they've left abusive relationships and they've, decided to do things differently in their own life because of the offering you've put out in the world?
Well, thank you for acknowledging that. And you said a very important word, which was team. And I've got to say, for anybody listening, like, the team you're surrounded with is really where the magic is, right? Like, the team is everything. So just like deeply, deeply grateful and indebted to our team, past, present, and I know future. I will share one story of something that changed my life in terms of a success story. This is so wild. And a lot of people, if you're not a believer, you should probably go take a coffee break, because you're going to think this is a little abstract and out there, but I promise you it's the truth. After I had my first son, Bobby, my husband, he was raised by his grandfather, who was a deeply, deeply influential person in my life too. He was one of the only people that really believed in me and supported me through the departure of Tinder and the building of Bumble. And he was just this figure of like strength. And he was really the man in the arena. It was his favorite quote. He had it framed everywhere. An impressive, amazing man who defeated all the odds. So I got pregnant at 29. My husband and I got pregnant with our first child when I was 29. And we found out it was a boy, and we knew immediately we're going to name him Bobby Lee, after Granddaddy, who was Bobby Lee. This is all relevant to answering your question. I'm setting at the stage. And so we have our beautiful baby boy. But very unfortunately, Granddaddy had gotten very, very ill just weeks prior. And he was hanging on for dear life just to make it to see this baby boy be born. And as fate would have it, was not my due date. Our son, Bobby Lee, was born on Granddaddy's birthday, December the 9th. And we named him Bobby Lee the second. And I've never met anyone named Bobby Lee before. It's kind of a strange, like it's not Johnny. It's like a kind of a unique name, like the double pairing of these names. And this is relevant because this answers your question. So after I had our son, Granddaddy tragically was able to see him just on FaceTime. He said, "Happy birthday," kind of said, "I give you my life." And after that, he really never spoke again, and he passed. So 5 days after Bobby's born, it's Granddaddy's, we're getting ready to like prepare for Granddaddy's funeral. Bobby Lee, the first funeral. And I woke up that morning about to fly to the funeral with a really crazy headache. Like, I've never had a headache like this. I thought, something's not right. So I text the doctor. They say, lay down, it's hormones, take a nap. I looked in the mirror and I was a balloon. I was like, what has happened to me? And so I thought to check my blood pressure, because I had read an article about a woman who swole and got a headache and ended up with a stroke and had something called postpartum preeclampsia. And I said, God, I better check my blood pressure. Lo and behold, my blood pressure was something like 180 over 125 or 130. It was very, very serious. So the doctor said, get to the hospital immediately. So here I am. I'm leaving my newborn child at home, not alone, thank God, obviously. And my husband has to leave me at the hospital to go deliver the eulogy at a 1,000-person funeral, or however many people were there. So I'm in this bed in the hospital. They cannot get my blood pressure down. I have very it's called HELP syndrome. I have HELP syndrome. Your liver enzymes are out of control. Your blood pressure is out of control, and it is fatal. You can die from this. And very tragically, it is a huge portion of maternal deaths, preeclampsia and post-preeclampsia. So here I am. I'm laying in the dark. They put you in the dark on something called a magnesium drip. And I literally think, oh, this is as bad as it gets. You're not with your new baby. You're being told we're going to do our best, but no certainty that you're going to get better, which is the truth. No one's telling you you're going to be okay because they don't know. They're going to do their best. And your husband is at the funeral of the one man that has been like an inspiration to you. And I thought, okay, this is it. This is literally hell on earth. And shortly thereafter, a woman walks in the room. She's a nurse at the hospital. And it's dark, but she comes in, she grabs my hand. I can see her and I can hear her. She turns the lights on and she says, "Hi, sweetheart." And she says, "You're Whitney from Bumble, right?" And I think, oh God, like, not now. I can't give jobs right now. Like someone's nephew wants a job at Bumble all the time. And I'm like, this is not the time. I'm dying. Like, can we save this for another day? And she pretty quickly, after she tells me, "Listen, I know I'm violating HIPAA. It's my last day at the hospital. I've been here for 35 years. I had to come see you. The nurses were talking about you back in the nurse station that the Bumble founder was here. And I didn't care if I got in trouble. I came to talk to you." She said, "First of all, you're going to be okay, sweetheart." She grabbed my hand. That was the first time someone told me I'd be okay. And she said, "I had to come tell you something." She said, "I was in a toxic marriage for a very long time. And I read about you. And I read about what you did with Bumble. And it gave me the courage to leave my marriage. And once I had rebuilt my strength and my self-confidence, I downloaded Bumble because of you. And I've never met anyone with my fiance's name. And he is the love of my life and he is wonderful. And I saw that your baby's name is Bobby Lee because they write it on the wall outside the hospital room when you're a new mom with a baby." She said, "That's his name." She said, "I met Bobby Lee on Bumble after an abusive marriage," which is basically my whole story. It was my whole purpose. And it was Bobby Lee's funeral and baby Bobby Lee was at home. And this woman's life had been enhanced by a man named Bobby Lee that she met on Bumble. So if that's not the universe telling you that, check, the intention was pure and good, I don't know what else is.
She's the one to tell you you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
When you literally also don't know if you're dying.
That's right. So that's the power of what this has been for me. That story is exactly a through line of this whole journey. And I think we all can connect with these synchronicities in the world, right? If we trust and believe in it. Mm-hmm. And that's just one example.
Whew, Whitney, I'm like crying. I am crying my lashes off. That's really
crying my lashes off. By the way, that's a great tagline or like comment. Crying my lashes off.
Gosh. It's just so powerful. It's so powerful. And I think a lot of people, have gone through the hard times and through hearing your story are going to understand also that their best days can be ahead.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And your worst days can also be little cracks of light.
Yeah.
Right? That was the worst day ever, hands down. But it ended up being pretty profound, right? That experience was profound. So I think we have to fall down to learn the lesson or see the good.
I love, one of the things I love so much about this show, this podcast, and these conversations is we so often talk about the story behind the story. And I think that's really where so many people get their inspiration and then they see what's possible. And, on the outside, the world watched this incredible woman with an 18-month-old son on her hip take Bumble public. And I remember seeing it everywhere. I remember you and I weren't friends yet at that time, but I remember seeing it and seeing the confetti everywhere and your yellow blazer and like all the things, and you're everywhere on the cover of every magazine. Everyone is just watching you with so much awe and inspiration and excitement. And you have shared that while that all looked one way on the outside, and I think so many of us will see that and be like, oh my gosh, it feels like Cinderella, at the ball. It feels like a fairy tale coming. It feels like the coolest moment in the world. And you say that was actually one of the worst days of your life.
Definitely. I went home and cried after the IPO. Why was I crying?
Why?
I mean, on the surface, I should be popping bottles, celebrating. I was a wreck. I was so depleted. I was so disconnected from myself. It was all about getting there. It was all about like getting to the top of this mountain, like exhaustion, complete exhaustion. And that beautiful baby on my hip that was there in the videos and the photos with the confetti, like that little baby had not seen his mom rested, energized, calm in so long, because I felt like, I have to get there. I have to do this. I got to do it. 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 And I think this quest of like the greater good, it can also come at the expense of ourselves. So I think that's such a lesson that I've learned over the last year of time. I don't call it time off. I call it time in. They always talk about, we don't do time out with our kids, but it's so funny. I'm always like, okay, Bobby, it's time for time in, not time out. Let's do some time in where we need to go in. We need to like reconnect because it's all so crazy out here. So crazy. So crazy. There's like so many things that are pulling at us and needing us and depleting us and draining us and drowning us. And if we don't go in and replenish our energy, what do we have left? We're shells. We're just vessels. And I think this year in, or wherever it's been, right, in this different realm, has been such a gift because I've had time to sit and pause and reflect and realize like all the shiny objects just don't matter. Like if you're not healthy, your team's not healthy. If you're not energized, the customers aren't energized. Like you have to set the tone at the top, and also don't pretend to women around the world that you can bounce a baby on your hip and take a company public for $15 billion all on a Monday. And it's just all gravy because that's not true. It's hard. It's super hard. And that's okay, right? You can do it, but you can't do everything all at once without something breaking. And the thing that broke was me. It was me. That's what broke. And so I had to put it back together.
I have had so many experiences at cosmetics where I was like, everything is crushing it on the outside. And exactly the words you said earlier, I felt like a vessel of a person, like barely alive, like in total survival mode, like an absolute robot. And I still have to fight to not be like when I launched Worthy and did this big event where we had 260,000, people live. It was like everything was the most incredible. And also for me, that's the struggle of like, okay, wait, but if I am not full and rested and all the things, if I'm burnt out doing this.
That's right.
And so, okay, so when you mentioned the year in, you're still obviously all in at Bumble, highly active, all the things, and you brought another person into the CEO role.
Yeah.
And then now after a year, you're back in now as CEO.
I am.
What does it now look like for you?
Yeah.
What changes? I mean, the whole world still puts the same expectations on any public company CEO, all the things. And what shifts are you making?
Yeah.
Because what you said is so powerful. It's like, oh my gosh, how are your customers going to be energized unless you're energized?
That's right.
So it actually on the outside could look like, oh, I love that they're working 120-hour weeks, but that's not necessarily the best strategy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going back with a lot of perspective. It's funny. One of my board members said this profound thing to me. She said, everything's better the second time around. You know, if you think about the first time you do anything, it's new, it's scary, you're learning on the job. And the second time around is just profoundly easier. And you have perspective, you have wisdom, you have learnings. And so I think I go back with the energy of love. Like Bumble has always been at its core about love. And what I've realized in this time in, whatever you want to call it, the entire meaning of life, genuinely, and I'm sure we could go ask all of the philosophical and spiritual leaders that we know and don't know. And if we asked them, we kind of said, define the meaning of life in one word. We asked 100 like spiritual leaders or evolved people. We asked them the meaning of life in one word, and they have to pick one word only. I'm going to bet, it's a guess, I'm going to bet that 80% or more say the word love. I'm going to bet that. And I fundamentally believe that that is the meaning of life. And if I have the opportunity or dharma or whatever you want to call it to help spread love in the world, then sign me up. Put me in, coach. Let's go. Like, let's get back in the arena because that's a noble mission. Mm-hmm. And if I can assemble the special forces of love around me to go out and help reinstill love in all the ways, through friendship, community, your romantic love, and most importantly, through self-love, that can be transformational for people. So that's where we're going back with.
And do you feel like strengthening self-love makes you even more of a kick-ass CEO?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
How can you lead others if you can't lead yourself?
Yep.
Right?
Yes. 1,000,000%. I'm so glad you're here for this incredible part 2 episode with founder and CEO of Bumble, Whitney Wolfe, who shares stories and insights she's never shared before, and she's sharing them today right here with you.